welcome everyone to episode 2. And joining me for episode 2 of Striking from Home is a 3-time PBA national titleist, 2-time collegiate team champion, as well as co-author of Bowling Energy in Motion from Arizona, Josh Blanchard. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. If you kind of want to tell us, I have some questions lined up for you, so we can kind of go ahead and knock those out. So for the first one, kind of tell us what's the most interesting or exciting thing that you've done since the shutdown began?
Interesting. I've just been, honestly been working, building things. I've been doing some work around my house and some work for some friends and just doing some manual labor. I know how to do it. Been doing it my whole life, so I have the opportunity to build. So I guess that's kind of the only interesting thing I've been doing other than spending time with my kids 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I love it. Always got to have family time. That's a huge plus,
Yeah.
That's a really good thing. And so I kind of want to know your thoughts on being part of the Motown Muscle, the PBA League team that you're on for another year, because you were a reserve player. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I think first of all, the PBA League is one of the coolest things in bowling. I think everybody wants to be a part of it. Everybody wants to watch it. Everybody wants to be a Bayside Bowl and just be in that environment. To be on the same team with 2 future Hall of Famers that are younger than me is pretty cool. You're with the next generation of bowlers, and those 2 guys are EJ and Simonson are elite guys, and it's fun just to bowl with them. And I don't think it really matters what team we were on per se or what name you want to call it, but it's nice being the same team for 5 years and kind of create some team bonding. We know what we like. We know what we don't like.
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of team bonding, is there anybody that you're really close with on the Motown Muscle?
EJ would be the closest person out of all of them. He stayed at my house a couple times, and we play golf a lot together. So we have a good friendship off the lanes as well.
So then, kind of to switch subjects a little bit, I really want to know your opinion on this. If you had to choose one to be for the rest of your life, all right, would you rather be a 2-handed right-handed bowler or a 1-handed left-handed bowler?
1-handed left-handed bowler, 100%.
Do you take that because you know Jacob Buttress so well, or?
No, it has nothing to do with Jacob at all. You know what? The reason I say this, and maybe in 30 years it might be different, but been to the Hall of Fame banquet for 9 consecutive years now, and they say, please stand if you're a Hall of Famer. And everybody stands up, right? I'm looking around the room. 80% of them are left-handed. That means that, you're either going to be in the top 4 or 5 or you're going to be in the bottom, but I'll take the top 4 or 5 every time I get a pop at it. And it's not even – I'm not here to discredit any lefties and say that they're not good by any means, but they're 2 separate games. I mean, to be honest, left side of the lane and right side of the lane, they break down completely different. Sometimes they're impossible, sometimes they're easy, but you have a lot less traffic, and I would like to bowl on that side of the lane more often than the right side of the lane.
Man, I couldn't agree more. I really would love to be a one-handed lefty. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's kind of talk about when did you first start bowling? What kind of got you into bowling?
So I started when I was about 8 or 9 years old. My dad bowled league. He still is an avid league bowler. He got me and my sister into a Learn to Bowl Tuesday afternoon league, and I just kind of stuck with it after that. I was fortunate, junior high and high school were almost across the street from the bowling alley. So after school, I'd go, back then you had a practice card for 3 free games. So I would go and bowl 3 free games after school, sometimes bowl some more than that, eat some lunch, and then my parents would pick me up. And so I kind of just was there every single day. And when you're around that environment, it's easy to be around the right people and just develop your skills just hanging out at the bowling alley.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's really a blessing living close to the bowling alley. I know how that is when I go to college. I live just about 30 minutes away from the bowling alley where I live right now in Texas. But when I'm in college, it's right down the street. I know the blessing. It's very nice.
It's easy to hone your skills and kind of dive into it when it's convenient. When it's not convenient, you really take some willpower to head there and put your time in.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Definitely. So then let's talk about a little side note about your book. So you were the co-author of a book, Bowling, Energy, and Motion. And a lot of it has to do with the mental aspect of bowling. So if you had to give one tip for the audience about the mental game, what would you tell them?
Just to forget the past. To be honest, too many people live in the past, whether it be good or bad. Every time I bowl here, I suck, or every time I do this, I bowl good, and they just live in the past instead of embracing the moment that they're in currently, and embracing the challenges that are ahead of you. Because every day bowling is such a complex game with so many variables that if you get tied up into what you did in the past, you really have either psyched yourself out before you even threw a first shot, or you've given your opponents an advantage. I think the best phrase or that I tell people is that every time I hear, hey, I bowled 279, I got a 9 spare in the 6th frame. I'm like, well, hold on. How many people have told you they bowled 279 and they were really happy about the 11 strikes? Everyone's always worried about the miss, but you know what? 279 is a hell of a game. Even 299, you had 11 strikes. I mean, you were 92% strike percentage. I mean, that's incredible. And that's kind of how bowlers always look. They always look at that one little negative instead of there's 92% of positives, and everyone will look at that one little glitch or one little hiccup. But you got to kind of put that hiccup away and really focus on the positives that you just did to even get to that score.
Yeah, and can you tell us about when that you decided that it would be like a good idea or like an inspiring thing to write a book like that? Like, what kind of led you to that?
Well, I had no ambition to write a book, to be honest. I've known Debbie, my co-author, for a few years here through mutual friends, and she's really big into the golf industry. And I happened to be on the driving range one day with my golf coach, and he said, and she was there, and she was writing a book with him. And then he said, he's a professional bowler. And we kind of gained friendship after that, and she really wanted to understand more of the mental side of bowling. So then she did a lot of studying. We had a headset. We did a lot of studying on bowlers and what bowlers' brain types are, and golfers and the golfing industry and bowling are the same kind of brain analogies. You have to visualize what's ahead of you and put away the obstacles and just focus on a target and not say, oh my God, there's water to the right, I'm going to hit it in the water. Or, oh my God, there's a gutter there, I'm going to throw it in the gutter. It's kind of the same kind of mental outlook. So we took a lot of the perspectives from golf and applied it to the book, but took research from bowlers, and it was something that we put together, and it was something that she put in the back of my mind. I thought, this would be good. And what was really funny was she said, well, I mean, sports psychology is so big in golf. How many sports psychologists do you have in bowling? And I said, I really can only think of one. I mean, Dr. Dean has been prominent in this industry, and he is an unbelievable guy. I worked with him. I was fortunate enough to work with him on Team USA and at Wichita State. But she's like, she laughed at me. And I said, what's so funny? She said, golf has over 100. I'm only one of hundreds. And she gives plenty of golf lessons daily just on the mental aspect. She'll go to the driving range with or walk the course with players and ask them what their mindset is right now and work on their mindset. And it's funny is I asked about the professionals on the PGA Tour. A lot of them have their own that travel with them. And it's like she said, wow, bowling has a great opportunity here. There's a great big empty environment that really needs to be touched on. So I just wanted to grab a little bit of that environment and bring a different perspective. Dr. Dean is great, but I just wanted to add as somebody who has bowled professionally and been in that moment, I thought it would be a nice perspective to add that to the book.
So then one last question about the book. Is there anything in your research, because I know you did a lot of research for this. So is there anything in particular that really like surprised you or stuck out to you when you were researching for the book?
We did quite a few studies on two-handed bowlers, and surprisingly, the first chapter kind of talks about if you're left or right-handed, left or right brain dominant. And when people are competing at the highest level, they're really equal brain. They're not thinking too much of their right or too much of their left. Whether you be one side or the other, you can practice, and that's in the book. Kind of helps you practice the other side of your brain so you become balanced. Two-handers, because they're using both hands, predominantly a lot of them were even-headed or level-headed from left to right more than one-handed bowlers.
That's definitely very interesting.
It was very interesting. We didn't have enough. I still haven't done enough research or data to prove that that's something that is why they're better or anything else. I think a lot of it has to do with pin deflection and the way that bowling balls are created. But in terms of a mental outlook, that they are a lot more even because they are using both hands touching an object. So they're using kind of their whole centrifugal force of their body, and that matches with their brain.
Yes, and I have to say, for anybody watching, I definitely recommend reading Bowling Energy in Motion. I definitely think it's an amazing book to read. And I know that Josh is was very, very smart in writing it. And I think that a lot of research that is very factually proven went into it.
I appreciate it. If anybody wants to get a copy, you can head to my website at jbbowling.com. You can purchase it right there, and you'll be good. But I appreciate the kudos on that, Daniel. I really do.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, if I know a good book, then I will absolutely recommend it to people, especially with bowling. My favorite thing to do, and so why not spend your time when the bowling alleys are closed reading how to be a better bowler.
Absolutely. And the thing that I liked about the book the most was, and I've gotten feedback, is there's 13 chapters or 12 chapters, depending on how you want to look at it. But all 12 don't apply to everyone. And it's not a book you're going to read from cover to cover in one day. You kind of look at the chapters that really you think, man, this is me. He's talking to me. Or they are talking to me. And you really apply those to your game. And you don't really need every chapter. Some people need certain chapters more than others. And that's kind of why I really like the book. It's pick and choose who you want to be. It's your own journal. You write in there. There's a lot of pages where you can write, and it's your bowling journal. It can only help you. It's not for anybody else to read. You can write your personal notes in there, your personal thoughts, and that's what it's for.
Yes, and I was going to say, too, if there's one thing that I have to recommend to anybody who buys the book, bring a pencil with you when you read, because it will save you, and you definitely need to remember the important key topics that apply to you. As Josh said, not everything in the book might apply to you, but I guarantee you, as if you are a bowler or if you're trying to get better mentally at really anything in your life, then, reading it and highlighting the points that apply to you will help you in the long run by far.
Absolutely.
So for the next segment, I have a little mini game planned. So here's kind of the main gist of the rules. So I'm going to ask Josh 5 Motown trivia questions, Motown music related. And if he answers correctly, he gets 1 point per question. And if he does not answer correctly, then he gets 0 points.
If I get 1 point and 5 questions, I'll be happy.
Pretty simple format here for today. Let's see how he does. I tried not to make the questions too hard because I didn't know what kind of music that Josh likes to listen to. Okay.
Yeah. Channel my inner Motown here. Let's see if I can get it going.
There you go. I love the shades. Alrighty, so question number 1 about one of my favorite songs from the era, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. All right, was originally performed by Marvin Gaye and what other person?
I have to know. There's not a multiple choice here. I have to say the person.
If you want me to give you a multiple choice.
Holy cow. Would have put me on the spot. Marvin Gaye and I have no idea. It's a great song. It's in Remember the Titans.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah. You got me stumped, man. Who is it?
It is Tammy Terrell. That is the answer.
I never got that one. Even if you gave me multiple choice, I wouldn't have got that one.
Okay. Oh, man.
I appreciate Daniel making me look like a fool today. So go ahead. Go with the second one. I appreciate it.
I mean, I did want to stick with the theme of his PBA League team and go with the Motown theme, and I figured this might be the best way.
All right.
So for number 2, this one is very wide open. The song ABC was originally performed by the Jackson 5. All right. So name any other song that they sang at all, ever.
Jackson 5?
Jackson 5.
Oh, my gosh. Michael Jackson, his brothers and sisters.
His family.
I have no idea. I'm gonna get lit up for this one. I have no idea.
Okay, I'll give you a shot of redemption here. Okay. Name any song that Michael Jackson sang in his lifetime.
There's a million of them.
I know, name one. Any song. This is your redemption point.
I can think of that. What was that dance he did? He did Draw a Blank. Thriller.
Boom, he gets a point. I'll give him a
That's
point
the
for
Thriller.
that.
That's what I was
Thriller
thinking.
was sang by Michael Jackson, so I will definitely give you that one. Okay, so
Boy,
this
I'm a winner.
this one might be just a little harder. They might get a little harder as they go on. But what female?
I couldn't get the first two, and they were easy. How am I supposed to get the hard ones?
I know. What female group is known to be the most successful Motown group of all time?
I have no idea.
The answer is Diana Ross and the Supremes.
I know Diana Ross's. I don't know the Supremes, but another 0 for me. All right, goose egg it up.
For the last two, I'll go ahead. I'll give you multiple choice on the last two. I'll give you 3 options for each question. Okay, because they are a little harder. I know you're struggling. So
You're younger than me. How are you so versed in this Motown music?
I grew up listening to 60s, 70s, and 80s music. That's all I grew up listening to. Crazy stuff.
80s rock is better than Motown. All
Yeah,
right.
I do love 80s rock, but I also love me some 60s. Okay, so I'm going to read you some lyrics from a Motown song. So you got to name the song. I'm going to give you 3 options of songs for multiple choice that you can choose from. So the lyrics are, I've got so much honey that the bees envy me. I've got a sweeter song than the birds in the trees. Well, I guess you'd say, what can make me feel this way? So the options are, all right, if you don't already know it, it's a very, very popular song.
Don't worry, I don't already know it, so.
Okay, the options are either A, My Girl by the Temptations, B, You Can't Hurry Love by the Supremes, or C, The Tears of a Clown by the Miracles.
I'm going to go with A.
That is correct. You did get it right. It is My Girl by the Temptations.
All right, last one.
Yes, last question. Motown muscle manager, Del Ballard Jr. He might not appreciate me saying this, but he was born in the year 1963. All right? So what was the #1 song on the charts of that year? So your options are either Louie Louie by the Kingsmen is A, B is Walk Like a Man by the Four Seasons, or C is Surfin' USA by the Beach Boys.
Well, I know Surfing USA was the #1 hit. I don't know if it was in 63, but that's in that would have been in the 70s. I'm going to go with A again.
Sorry for me, but it was Surfing USA by the Beach Boys. C.
I didn't think it was that early. I didn't think it was.
Yep, 1963.
You would consider that Motown?
That's not necessarily a Motown question. I will be honest.
All right.
But it had to do with the Motown muscle, so I kind of threw it in because Del Ballard.
That was old.
Well, I mean, by the standards of this, yes.
I just like to rag on Del.
Absolutely. So just to kind of conclude for the episode, is there anything else that you would like people to know or like to tell people?
No, not really. Just support your local bowling centers as they open back up. You know, they're going to need your revenue. They're going to need your support as they open back up. We're all going through difficult times, no matter in what area or if it's affected you personally or not. But I'm sure people that bowl are going to watch this. And all I can say is head to your local bowling center, support them, buy a soda, and just show them that you miss them. Because if you don't support them, they're going to go out of business and we're not going to have any bowling alleys left.
Absolutely, yes. So the last thing I'll ask you, are there any plans for you upcoming for bowling tournaments or anything like that?
I have 3 events on the schedule right now. Middle of July, I'll be in Northern California with a PBA event, regional, and then the weekend after that is in Vegas, the end of July, and then in August, the New Mexico Open. But that's all I got. And after August, who knows? I know the PBA League is really looking like they have something set in September, but you have to be pretty skeptical to think that September is looking like a good month right now. But let's hope things start turning around for the better instead of the worse, and we can get this back on track.
I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, so I want to say thank you so much for joining me today, Josh. It's been a pleasure.
Best of luck with your channel going forward, man. The YouTube and that kind of stuff is taking off. And if I was 20 years old again, I would love to be doing it. But unfortunately, my time is taken up with my kids, so YouTube isn't in my future. But best of luck going forward. Hopefully, when you have 100 episodes, you can look back and I could say that I was one of the 100, and I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much. And you have a great rest of your day, sir.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.